Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Monday, the 1st of July. Welcome to a new month, everybody. I think, overall, not the best. It's kind of like a broken record at this point. Not the best market breadth. You could see that by my spreadsheet that I've got up here, which is basically, if you haven't watched my videos before, this is basically most of the sectors and some of the subgroups too. And I sort this by percentage change from open. And the reason why I do that is just so that I can see what names or what areas of the market are being bought over the trading session, what are strong versus what names are kind of the weakest throughout the session. So you can see that there's a lot more things that went down once again, but it's been, fairly consistent in terms of there has been some areas that have been showing some consistent strength. So it's been a very interesting market. And meanwhile, the indices just are basically chopping and going sideways. So before I get into a little bit more of the video, risk disclaimer in front of me, in front of you, everything that we're going through is for information purposes, not giving out any advice or recommendations. So please make sure that you read the full risk disclaimer there. And it's a beautiful day in New York City today. So this sun you will see partly in my eyes during this video, and so we will try to keep the video short so that you can go out and maybe enjoy a nice cold beverage outside, or two beverages, or you know what I mean. So one thing that's kind of interesting, I'll kind of start with a little bit of the boring stuff, but bonds are continuing to move lower. The reason what I found for the reasoning for this, this big sell-off that we've been seeing in bonds is that, basically since what we've been hearing about with the debate, obviously there are some areas that have been going up too. Coal names were a big area that went up. Some of the financials, if you're into that like election type trade, or some of the areas that will do better if there's a changing of the guard in terms of the next president. So you can kind of watch how some of these things are reacting. But yeah, yields really pushing higher the last today. TLT was down what, 1.7%, and you also had TLT go down 2.3%. So I think I've been kind of going back and forth with this relationship recently with what we've been seeing in small caps, but because the relationship hasn't exactly been one for one, in sorry, not semiconductors, but small caps. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately small caps do not like higher interest rates. So I think that affected them a little bit. This is just a really tough chart that I've been talking about over the last, few weeks at this point, few weeks to a few months. It's just very sideways. I guess you can try to catch turns in this thing, but you look at what this thing has done over the last couple of months, and it's basically nothing. And every time this thing looks like it's going to start moving to the upside or shows some promise, it gets faded. And every time it looks like it's going to break down, it goes sideways. So also, this is also a pretty darn boring chart over the last week and a half. This is the S&P futures, but it's sideways and it's consolidation. And one of the things that I talked about in my weekend video was that we started the month, right? Here's the first candle for the day, which you can't even really see it today, but I guess it was more of a doji type candle. But regardless, we started inside the month of July like we did last month, right? The difference is that the 20-day moving average was kind of caught up with the price action here after we had a little bit of digestion at the end of May. We're not there yet in terms of the 20-day moving average. Now, I'm not saying that it needs to get there, but it's just kind of interesting to see that, hey, we really got extended here, right? And why am I going over this, and saying that the 20-day moving average is here and versus where it was here? And even though we've been going sideways for a week and a half, it's just important to have perspective, to understand, like, this 20-day moving average is still far away. So it just shows like how overbought the markets got in the middle of back in the middle of June. So, it kind of just comes to mind, like, be patient with this market, right? We know that everybody's been talking about on financial media about a stronger seasonality that you have in July. That is true, right? But that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's 100%. And I would, I err on that side of saying, hey, we should, the odds are that July is stronger. But I'm not going to put, that's not going to be the only indicator that I use. Price is the indicator that I use, and also looking at breadth, right, and what that's telling us, right? And that wasn't the strongest thing today. Also, once we will break this range, by the way, I don't know if it's going to be this week because it is a holiday shortened week, right? Wednesday's a half a day. We have off on Thursday, and then Friday's going to be fairly quiet. Reminder that Powell speaks tomorrow, right? And you will have the Fed minutes. You'll also have the ISM services later in the week too. So there are a couple things. And by the way, on Friday, you do get a monthly jobs report. But yeah, I mean, we haven't, for the overall index, right? The S&P 500 has not gone anywhere in 2 weeks. And look at it today, right? Again, just a lot of indecision going on. And I think I heard a quote earlier. I don't have the chart in front of me, but I believe it. That implied correlation is very low, meaning just stocks are not moving together. There's a lot of separation among stocks. So let me get to the Qs because it's a little slightly more constructive. The Qs did hit the top of value. So just like last week, remember what happened like on Friday of last week, right? When there was a lot of like pension selling going on and a lot of rebalances that were, net for sale. Price stopped right at the top of value last week, which was, right around 484.90. The 80% rule played out, the bullish 80% rule. This week we started inside value, and now you've got a nice level to watch for tomorrow. And for the rest of the week, perhaps 482.32. So right now, we're locked inside the value area for the week. This other gray box is the value area for the month. We're inside. So again, eventually, that will change. But for now, we're range bound. Where I would get more interested, today was, gave us nice trading opportunities. Look at what happened there in the bottom of value. This is something that we talked about in the 10 o'clock hour. I said, hey, let's see if we hold this, because we had a little bit of volatility in the beginning of the day. We did. And it was a nice, even though this wasn't a huge trending day for the day, but the Qs kind of did their job today, and they closed right around the highs of the session and right around the top of the value for the week. So if we don't break this, then I would say, so what's the thinking process behind this? If we don't break this, then I don't add any new trades. I just kind of sit and manage what I'm doing, and we could talk about some of those trades. Tesla had a big, this is this was really nice, and it was kind of funny because wow, so we've taken out another VPOC up there. We went through this virgin point of control on Friday, right? So again, these just represent possible overhead supply, right? It's an area where there's a lot of volume that's previously occurred that price has not returned back to. Right, you can see the one back in here, right? Price went a little bit higher, then kind of checked back. So sometimes it becomes a battle of the buyers and the sellers, right? There's overhead supply. So the buyers are really going to have to run with the ball and push through the existing supply, right? So you can see that the last one that we hit here, which was 212, is for now where we're holding. And this happened on Friday too, and I didn't take a target on Friday, and I was kind of regretting it because we reverted back a little bit after taking out same thing. We went a little bit higher and then moved back. So now we've taken out 1, 2, 3. So this is a bigger test. So 212.50, and a reminder that Tesla has their delivery numbers tomorrow. Now, so let's, as always, like I did this about a week ago in one of my videos, I kind of went through the scenario analysis, right? This way that you kind of have a plan if you're playing this as well. But this also took out a VPOC up here too. So again, notice that we did not get through this. So, it could be a short-term little top in Tesla. I've taken 3 targets in a trade that I'm in, but what I would want to see, like, let's say that the numbers don't come in as high as expected. And I think that they're expecting for Tesla, what is it, like, not that this is going to exactly move Tesla. I think Teslas could be running on some other things, but they're expected to report about 436,000 deliveries. And of course, they'll break that up within their models. So, let's see if that causes the stock to sell off a little bit. If it does, what I would want to see for Tesla and where I would want to maybe add a target back, right, would be if it holds 203 to the upside. Right. And then, of course, I'm not saying it's like guaranteed that Tesla sells off. I'm just kind of coming up with a plan of what I would want to see, right, and where I would want to add. Right now, if it goes up and gets past this VPOC, then the next one I think is up to 234. Right. because I don't think there's another VPOC around here. Right. And by the way, notice these boxes are now green, right? That means the 80% rule, bullish 80% rule has been triggered, but doesn't mean this goes up in a straight line. We could come back and we could back check the top of value. That might also, or excuse me, the bottom of value, that's 190. So, these are all things to kind of think about and to kind of, play the cards that you get, right? You can't play, if you don't get, aces or kings, you can't play that hand. But, so you've got to formulate what you're going to do. Is it, if we break 190, I would be folding, right? Because that's kind of gets rid of the signal. But if we come back in here, right, and you kind of like, now I'm making up stuff, but you get like a pair of jacks, and this price checks back either to the bottom of the value for the year, right, or there's various different levels that we could check back into. The 203 is what I mentioned, but that means like, hey, you got a pair of jacks, price comes in here and it holds and it starts to bounce. Hey, now it's like you got another jack, right? So you got three of a kind, which is a better hand. So anyway, I'm just giving you some fun analogies with this stuff. But the point is you play the hand that you're given, right? Not what hand you want it to be, right? And it's a little bit about it is about probabilities and so forth. So that's what I would be watching for tomorrow. But this was one heck of a trade over the last week, where it's really made a nice move. So trigger worked, and I was able to I've taken 3 targets in the trade that I'm in. Next stock that's been acting really well, and I talked about this a bit on Friday. If you tuned into the live stream on Friday, I talked about how these Russell rebalances are kind of silly. Or same thing with these pension fund things. So this happened to Apple 2 weeks in a row. Once on the, and I'm not going to go back because I did this in Friday's video, but once this happened in the for the S&P rebalance and the Q's rebalance, which was back on triple witching a week and a day ago, and then this happened with the same thing with the Russell rebalance. Look at the forced selling, right? And then it recovers, and look at it. So as I mentioned, these are one-time things, and one of the messages that I had for members this weekend was let today kind of let that day shake itself out a little bit, because there'll be some moves that you saw on Friday, both to the downside and to the upside, because there was things that were bought that just won't have any follow through to the downside or to the upside, because it's a one-time. These events are one-time events. So as you saw with Apple, there was no downside follow through, and in fact, it was a buy opportunity. As I talked about, that these Russell rebalances are often when they push things in directions like this. And it happened with Amazon to a lesser extent too. Look at what Amazon did at the end of the day on Friday too. They pushed this thing down all day long on Friday. Just really dumb to be trading all of these big trades in a small amount of time, but you could take advantage of it. And I added to my Amazon trade today, and it worked out pretty nicely. So why did I do that with Amazon today? Well, number one, I recognized that somebody was selling it all day on Friday. So I didn't really want to add stuff late in the day on Friday. So I did that today because the breakout is still intact. It's also still holding above its 5-period moving average. So not bad. So those are 2 stocks that I've been trading in and have positions in. Microsoft was pretty interesting today too. This also was sold off on Friday too. Just like, you have to laugh at some of the stuff, because the folks that are doing this and like the pension rebalancing, to me, it's pretty dumb. But in any event, you could take advantage of that, closing on the lows and closing on the highs today. So complete reversal. Other names. So, we put out a watch list every weekend. I'm gonna show you like basically how I do this. So every weekend I start with the names that are in gray, that are from the previous week, and there's like about this many names. But so I basically go through them, kind of process of elimination, take some names off, but I leave some names on, and I provide comments on on everything we're doing in terms of in terms of I use this in the trade in our trade ideas and charts, and I go through these one by one, and I give setups and levels and basically what I'm watching. Like Dell, for example, was one name that I thought it was just consolidating. It was quiet last week, and this had a real nice move today. So Dell was definitely one of the stars of the day. Right, moving, still holding this rising 50-day moving average, and actually closed above the value area for the month. So same thing as we went over with Tesla. You've got a level to trade against. Let's see if let's see if Dell wants to do something a little bit better, right, and continue to trend. And that level to try to trade against is 141.77, right? So that worked out really well. And then there was pockets of strength. It's amazing. Abercrombie continues to act very well, even though and outperform the sector. So Abercrombie, I was worried that this might be, and it could still be, a head and shoulders pattern, but for now, it's bucking that. And remember, it's not a head and shoulders pattern until it breaks the neckline, which it did not do. But look at the difference between ANF and XRT. Right, it's a bit stronger, and especially today it was stronger, because if you look at XRT today and really what it's been doing, it's been acting very weak. So again, as I stated in the beginning of this live stream, is that there's a lot of areas that look like that are doing this. Like look at the home builders, right, which we've been talking about how I've not wanted to have a position in this group now for a while, as it just continues to go lower. And there's a bunch of other sectors that are kind of caught in the middle. Industrials, which again looks weaker than it does look strong, but there's a lot of sectors that have just gone sideways for the last few months. And the question is, like, are we going to see some more rotation out of tech, because the breadth continues to be fairly narrow, and into some other areas? The financials could be one of them, even though that's not the best looking candle for the financials. But there are some winners in each respective group. Look at JP Morgan today. Right? Well, JP Morgan has always kind of been that way, but has really been perking up here the last week, especially once, because they announced a new buyback program for next year, and dividends. Goldman also, I'm long Goldman. I'm trying to be patient with it. Again, same thing, rising 50-day moving average. I will always honor this when I see it, unless we have a break of unless price breaks below the 50-day moving average. But a rising 50-day moving average is something, pretty decent to deal with. And there's a couple other names too, but I think for me, those are the two best names. I also like LPL Financial, right? That name's been doing well for a while. The dips continue to get bought, also rising 50-day moving average in there. So, but it's kind of slim pickings. XLV, and biotech was pretty strong today, but look at how this finished for the day today. So again, if the trade's not there, and again, it's one of the things, I put together a P&L video, a review video every month for members, and I talked about be careful about chasing early strength. It's much better to kind of wait. We were looking at this name today, VST. Now, this is still on my watch list, but this name finished up like over 1%, but it was up at one point in the first half hour of the day, was up over 5%, right? And you can kind of see, right, this thing hit 2 virgin point of controls, and it sold off on the second one. So you have to be, it's very important. I was going to tweet about this earlier, that where you select your trades during the day can have a major impact on whether you're profitable or not. So I've been learning, or trying to be more patient and not chase names in the first 15 minutes. Let them come in and let them see if they're going to basically hold in there. This was a no take for me. I did add it to our watch list, but I'll be patient and wait for it to have a strong, I'd rather go in when it's a strong day and not a fake day. But these are the adjustments, and these are the things that you make. Every trader, no matter what level they are, need to review what they did over the month, and where your profitable trades were versus where you made mistakes, and what you can improve on, right? Because no one is perfect. No human trader is perfect, right? We all make mistakes, and it's very important to realize that, no matter even what experience you are, right? So a couple other names too that I'll go through. Kava has been doing well, even though again I see a lot of breakdowns in the restaurant space. But Kava continues to have that relative strength in the group. A&F, we went over that one. JP Morgan went over that one. I'm going to skip AppLovin for now. Broadcom, and I ducked out of an NVIDIA position, but this NVIDIA has been pretty resilient, right? It's almost broke again the 20-day moving average, but it basically stayed in there. I don't know why it's looking a little weird on that chart, but here it is, like another situation where it looked like it was going to break the value area for the week, but it held in there. Didn't have any major momentum to it, but for now it's consolidating. Again, some of these things you have to be patient in. And then Broadcom had a nice day today. I did structure an option trade because this is a high price stock, and I think it could possibly run into the now that it's kind of made that turn, looking for a little bit further price action to the upside. And because of the high price stock, I did structure a call spread for this trade. So in any event, that's kind of that's the recap for today. Other things that we did see option activity in, Schlumberger, which it's very interesting. Like again, it's not getting that much attention, but I think crude is getting very interesting. Look at the move in crude had today, and you could see that this is now this big gray area is the 2024 value area, and it actually got above there. So it'll be interesting if crude continues to go, but energy stocks are not really following. But we have been seeing some bullish option activity. There was 5,000 today of the XLE of the August 90 calls. So again, this does not look bad. It just has been very difficult to get an energy trade to work. So I started a position in Schlumberger. And even though it's not the best looking chart, I don't mind being in like one energy name for now. And with the understanding that these trades have been very difficult in energy and metals and mining. The other group that was very strong today was coal. And again, I don't know if this is an election move, but you could go through your coal stocks, and there is a coal ETF now. They brought it back, and you can see this thing had a huge move, right? Really big move, and so AMR is one name. HCC, whoops, that's the wrong. I know TradingView has a problem with this ticker. It's Warrior Met Coal, but I mean, look at this. Now, this has not been an easy trade. Every time this thing looks like it's going to break higher, and it gets completely rejected. So I did not take. I looked at it. I was like, I'm not taking that trade because it's too damn difficult. Arch had a big day as well, and there's a few other names too in the coal space that did decently. So I'll leave it there. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a roundabout of names that saw call activity. I would keep an eye on Generac. There was some call positioning in this. Of course, there may be this hurricane that's hitting, I think, some of the Virgin Islands. So, hurricane trade is always Generac. So you can watch this name tomorrow. Maybe set an alert right at the bottom of value, which is 134. Guys, that's it for today. Have a great day. We're still running. We'll have this special through the end of at least till 4th of July. Here's what you get. Like, this is in my opinion, this is a very good deal, right? So of course, like what we're doing is we're bundling Tribeca Trade Group's trading room, and this is what you get for the trading room, right? So first of all, it's a 6-month deal. That's for $499. So you'll get the Market Web's access on TradingView for 6 months so that you can, experiment and see if it's for you. And so we kind of throw that in with the trading room. So I think it's a great way to kind of check it out and see if you like the system. And of course, ask me questions as you start to get used to it and experiment with it. But you'll get a daily pre-market commentary from me. I put that out every day in your inbox, 9 o'clock, or in Slack. I give an overview of what's going on for the day, as well as some setups. I do a weekend macro video, as I mentioned with the video, and you can see how the watch list with chart setups, which I've been going over. Our trading room has been phenomenal. There's been some great collaboration with traders, and I like when other traders are putting out really good ideas, and we've got a really solid group of traders, which we do, because it just adds to the overall value of the platform. Midday, you get an update on all new trades. I give charts on every new trade that I got into, so you get an email that discusses all of that, as well as Everything gets marked to market because I use Bloomberg API in Excel. So you'll get to see like every position that I own is marked to market right at where, at the time of the day that I take the snapshot, right? And then you get the end of day trading note too. So just in case you can't be in the trading room all day long, you could say, okay, here's how his positions are doing. And here's new positions, which I color code differently, right? And so that includes open positions reviews, which I do that over the weekend as well as during the week. So there it is. This is just, you can just go on my Twitter feed. It was from last night. But like I said, this includes a lot for a pretty damn low price. But hey, it's the second half of the year, and I want people to give it a try and see what they think. And I'm willing to kind of like bring that down at a very reasonable cheap price so that you could check it out and see what it's like and hopefully profit from it and have a good second half of the year. We're off to a good start. The first day was pretty good. We're in the right stocks, and that's the name of the game right now because not every stock is going up. Guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.